Welcome back. HRX, High Res Expo, of course, in November. Tickets are available now, so hop online and get yours. Lots of fun Paladins and Smite action that weekend. For set number 2 of the day, Dolson, Gore here on the desk, and we have maybe another matchup that could potentially go the same way as match number 1. Do you think so?
Yeah, I honestly do, just because, again, when you're looking at it, you have a 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, which in theory means things are going to be a little closer, but All Business has been on the struggle bus, I guess, as of right now when it comes down to it. They had a couple of roster changes that happened the first few weeks, and now it's been slowly but surely finding themselves and then boxing out Blazing Hussars. They definitely looked better, I believe, last week, but it's still that uphill climb.
And they're a lineup much the same as the Hussars, where they have a few bright spots. Ineffable is one of the guys on that lineup, I think, that has been, well, a bright spot. He's shown in games that he can sort of take games over, win team fights for his team. I mean, 1.7 KDA, 88,000 damage average, especially on a team that is on the losing foot so much of the time. I think that's a pretty important stat to have, I would say. What does he mean to this all-business team?
Honestly, he does a very similar role to what Graphies does for Blazing Hussars, where he comes in and you know he's going to be consistent, you know he's going to be able to get kills, it's going to make a difference overall, but he's not, I guess doing the same thing that we've seen out of Simsaloo at times, where it's like, well, Simsaloo is getting consistent kills all the time and then occasionally getting triples, quadras, pentas, depending on where he's set up, right? Like, you aren't getting those insane, here's an everyday triple kill in just every single fight from Ineffable, but he's in that so consistent that he's never going to be the problem for the team, but he's never the thing, I think, that is elevating them to the next level. He's just always there.
I think that's a fair way to look at it, but I think on a team that's had such a hard time having just sort of a good base, consistent damage, that's important. Just something structured to kind of look at. But if you flip the script, you look over at the other side, Sour Team, again, much the same as we saw in Penta. Very good, very close-knit, makes very few mistakes. They're second in our league, though. I mean, you talk about Penta being the best team. They showed us why this morning. Sour Team, though, they're not very far behind Gore.
And that's the biggest thing, is it's very important to note that Penta beating Sour Team is really big, just because it's going to have implications when it comes to standings. Them saying first seed means that when they come to like the MSI, that's going to affect that bracket, and it's going to kind of change things over there. But when you have 3 ex-PPL players between Sheepa, Perdo, and Ninu, then you have a lot of... You know what? At this point, you can say 4, because technically Zarini got to play in the PPL this year.
And he looked good.
It's going to be 4 ex-PPL players here for Sour Team, where they've always looked really good. And Ninu, I want to say his time maybe was even cut a little short, has always been one of these phenomenal players, a fantastic blaster. And it was just in that zone of being, unfortunately, on a team that wasn't going to be successful, and when everyone was looking, I think, to move here to play, it just didn't quite line up, I think, the way they thought it would.
And you talked about how Ineffable is sort of the pillar for the all-business side. Those 4 ex-PPL members, I mean, you can quote it if you want to, but 3 of them truly were in the PPL. Zarini subbing in and doing a really good job of it. Those are now 4 pillars, of course, for Sour Team. I mean, the 5th member. I mean, everyone on the team is basically a pillar. Everyone doing their job week after week.
Yeah.
Serpent Beach is where we're going to hit for map number 1. Splitstone Quarry off the board again, as well as Frog Isle, Timber Mill, and Frozen Guard. Does Serpent Beach stand out to you in either way for either of these teams?
Not particularly, although if I had to give it to an individual team out of this, I'd actually say it kind of leans a little bit more towards Sour Team in my eyes, just because, again, looking at what you're going to see Ninu play, we just saw highlights of him, I think, on Eevee. But also Drogoz. That's been a very, very big pick for him. I like the call immediately, All Business ban the Eevee.
I don't want to play against
because of how potent it has been on this map in the past.
That's right. Amani getting banned out as well as Leon. So some interesting bans here, Gore. 3 damage dealers. We see maybe 1 or 2 sort of sprinkled into the typical frontline bans. But 3 damage dealers, Eevee, Leon, Amani, as well as the Torvald, of course. That opens up the door to a lot of different champions now. Makoa, of course, being the first pick in this case. Khan is around as well. They could get Makoa Atlas. Khan Cassie is going to be the first 2, though, for Sour Team. What does this sort of open up to you with the bans, the way they are?
Well, to me, this is actually Sour Team playing against the one thing that I had just said. You know, Ineffable is always going to be a pillar. They took out 3 champions for Ineffable to make him feel a little more uncomfortable. I think all the highlights we saw earlier were on Leon, so that's going to be a very target ban there. Imani, Cassie fit into that same role, fit into the same box. So taking that away is just kind of like, cool, if you're going to ban out Ninu, we're going to ban out Ineffable. We'll see what happens.
And Maeve comes through for them, and Maeve's sort of seen a resurgence in the game itself, but especially on this map, we've seen her sort of poke her head in a lot of these drafts. Shaolin for the opposite side. What do you like in a champion like Maeve? Why maybe has she started to come back a little bit?
Mobility, ability to get to the high grounds, very similar things between her and Eevee in that, and the fact that when she takes a 1v1, even though she has lower health, she can admittedly come out of it stronger overall. Like, she has the ability to heal depending on where she goes. She's going to have extra damage coming out of her daggers, or she's going to have an execute. Either or is going to help you in a 1v1. And the other thing is the reset.
Triple
so
damage.
You have a lot of, I mean, you can pounce in, you can then reset and pounce out. Like, you have a lot of disengage as much as you have engage.
Well, Sour Team's looking to get aggressive here. Draft a triple damage composition, anchored by the Khan. You have the Damba as well. That's going to be a lot of action coming right at you if you're on the all-business side. I'm excited to see how it plays out, but to do that, we're going to send it down to Evan and Nick.
Well, excited to see how this plays out, Nick. I mean, obviously the Genos, the Makoa, that's some deadly stuff.
Talked a ton about the Makoa, and now we get to kind of see in practice, is he going to be as deadly, or are Sour Team just that far ahead? Are they just that good that it doesn't matter and they can beat it no matter what?
Well, Ninu on Drogos is definitely an impactful player and champion combo. I'm really looking out for him today, because he's got to have one of those days that gives them hope and confidence that they're going to have that 1-2 punch. Serpent Beach, a map that Sheepa and Purdue have loved since the beginning of time. And now, looking to get their first win of the day in the set on it against All Business. But they're going to have to go up against Coriel.
Taking a look at some of these talents here. Royal Subjects, recurve there. That is a choice for Shaolin. Half Shell for Coriel as well. Not necessarily the standard choice here. Leviathan, we talked so much about that HP. I think part of that is he doesn't want to play in a Dragon Punch, and he doesn't want to play in the executes from Street Justice.
Yeah, that is very important here. That would be a very bad execute. So much more value given to the Maeve. And as we've seen, Street Justice picked up here, Nick, but you know, Cat Burglar is something that we've seen Tenor go to quite often when using that on NIP. It seems to be the go-to choice there, but just maybe getting rid of Sheepa will make them reconsider not only their talent choices, but their position choices here. Ninu falls as well. You can assume it's more of just a fallback here, but boy, oh boy, it's Makoa.
Yeah, an explosive start here. Not just the kill off that hook, but 2 others as well for a total of 3. That snap hook there. Coriel knows his timing there beautifully. And the zone here is going to be good, capturing away 72%. Unless it's an utter collapse here, All Business are going to get the go-ahead cap.
Yeah, should be in. I mean, Sheepa takes the right corner, but Klosar catches him off perfectly, gets the high ground as well. Nothing they can do. All Business take point number 1. This is not a good look. That point fight was just out of sorts for Sour Team.
My goodness gracious. And sometimes the hook can just do that to you. It's that instant, very, very quick to fire grab. I think the half shell's a nice adjustment as well. That's going to get a little bit less and less effective as time goes on. You can see it's already not a very tanky shield. Does not last too long. Let's take a look at the loadout for half shell Makoa, because that does play into how effective this character can be. You can see the card Barrier Reef. As the shell is destroyed, it has a lower and lower cooldown, so that's something Coriel will look to use to stay effective as his shield is being completely destroyed later into the game.
Didn't really think about the carapace kind of maybe impact here, especially considering for every 3,000 damage. I wonder if that scales, if it's kind of like gradual, or if you have to hit 3K to get that time off of the shield, because if you can hit a carapace 5, maybe get another, you know, couple seconds or so off of the cooldown, might be interesting.
Carapace is 1250, I think, at the highest level, so it doesn't give you another break point.
So it's on a break point then. That's what I was kind of asking.
Yeah, it's a 6,000 HP shield, so you get, if it's fully destroyed, you get 2 official break points.
Gotcha.
To get that leverage cooldown reduction.
Well, Purdue destroying Klosar here on the Street Justice, but it's falling flat for sure. All Business here absolutely dominating. I mean, much more of a dominant lineup in general with the Genos, the Makoa, the BK, the Barrack, and just slotting in Shaolin as a DPS. Sour Team taking some more risks, and it's not paying off.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't exactly get upset about it, because that's kind of what I was asking for out of Sour Team. I wanted to see them do something a little bit different because they're so far ahead, because they are locked in for the MSI and they can't lose enough to be knocked into third place at this point, I wanted to see them, like, I don't know, try something a little bit different. 0-2, 0-1 starts here for Ninu and Zarini.
I mean, no real hit scan pressure except Xenos. Ineffable, great player, proven himself alongside Corio quite often. And, I mean, you just have to say that that's unacceptable for that Drogo's pick. I mean, he has to be an impactful DPS player. He's got to take over the game, essentially. And following along the exact same path from Corio, why not? He actually kind of meets him a little earlier than usual, so he gets some good damage off before the shield is laid down.
Well, this is already a better fight than our team had last time. Stun not quite there on the mark. Both dashes burn, though. It's a lot of Maeve's cooldowns used just to stay alive.
Interesting. Seems like a very odd use of the Heat Haze there because he's still visible given the Midnight Circle. A couple of good shots here, and you can see William Birkin trying to add to the damage, but Ninu and Prudo end up trading.
I think that was a mistake there. You can only continue to see Shaolin if he's continuing to shoot. I think if Ineffable stops shooting there and just doesn't draw an arrow and just runs away, just prioritizes surviving and staying alive, I think he can. I think he really gives himself up to Ninu there.
Yeah, definitely at least slowing him down, that's for sure. I mean, you do have that draw penalty, so maybe just running is the best quality of life choice. But no life to have a quality of. He got taken down with the Dragon Punch, and 85% now, 89, 93. That's the comeback mechanic for you. A little too fast, and the Dread Serpent to seal the deal. Sour Team now in control.
It's one thing that they're definitely going to have to look to stay or find an answer for is this Dragon Punch that comes in off the back of Midnight. It's a really good way for Drogoz to not take much damage as he flies in, but these executes are going to try to make Corio less and less effective. It's worth noting that without Leviathan, you're not CC moved during your Ancient Rage, so it's a much easier ultimate to control when that talent's not being run.
And that's just a feels bad man for sure, as Makoa, you know, getting Damba stunned out of your 10,000 HP Ancient Rage, and this is the Nino we wanted to see. A 9 streak turned it around so quickly in this last one, and it all really started with that Dragon Punch.
Here's another one coming through. He will make it out alive. So much that this Makoa has to be worried about. Overpowers, Commander's Grabs, Fears.
Does he have it?
Lots and lots of stuff here.
He does.
Cheeky salvo, about to come out onto the Bomb King, but out of combat regen is enough to keep the King alive. And that's one of those tiny little moments that if you're not paying attention, can really, really turn a fight.
I think he should have salvoed first and then Fire Spit to clean that up, because I think trying to get the Fire Spit salvo, you kind of give yourself one chance to get it, and it just wasn't enough. I think he missed one of those rockets trying to make sure he exploded the Fire Spit. Interesting choice.
Salvo probably would have been enough. He was below half HP.
Maybe sooner. Yeah, exactly. Interesting, man.
You live and you learn.
You live and you learn.
No use crying over spilt moot for Nina. He's going to make sure that he stays on point here because he has been in this round. A massive turnaround round, like you mentioned, going from, I think it was 0-1 or 0-2 to the point where he's on a 9 streak. And those aren't all killing blows, but eliminations, participation is the name of the game here. It's teamwork that makes the dream work.
Sheepa rolling in and out, and he's that big counter to the Makoa on the Ancient Rage style, not just in some of the disengage, which might put him in a bad spot, but with big game, so much damage off of that huge HP pool. Once the Ancient Rage starts ticking, 24 seconds now. William Birkin holding off, throws a turret down as well, and the headshot's ringing from Zarini, but he's going to back off, get healed up here by the board.
Somebody's got to die here pretty shortly. There's a lot of people alive, a lot of angles being taken above Zarini as well. He's falling lower and lower, getting some good healing. 1-for-1 trade will start off this final fight as we head towards overtime.
8 seconds left. Good hook there by Corio, but Sheepa just makes it out, and Ninu with a nice double here. Zarini sees go, and now he's isolated, but he hears Ineffable with the planted. So much damage, and with Luminary, there's no way he can survive. Ineffable with a clutch double, and that means it's all business taking the point for the defense. 3-1, they can capture with one good fight.
A lot of ultimates available here in the game, and I feel Sour Team just have a slight edge in terms of their overall suite. Very easy to get guaranteed value for most of those things. 0-5 for Zarini's Khan. Point Tank Khan is not the first choice of many players. He's doing the job of the solo frontline, and a job that's not asked of him very often these days. So it could take some getting used to, but this is, like I said, not a bad strategy to have some experience on. 3 DPS is still a niche strategy for a lot of teams at the highest level of play. So Sour Team, again, this is really what I asked. I'm getting what I asked for here from them. 3-1, they are down to all business, a matchup that they should be able to win when it's all said and done, but I do like that they are taking some risks.
Heat Haze available here for the Shaolin. Usually we'll use that to get really aggressive or in trouble. At this point, though, there comes the Dragon Punch, and he knows exactly what's happening, and he gets the huge planet there to trade with Ninu. It was unfortunate that they used the through time and space there as well, because that did not find the mark, just a few seconds off.
There it is. Ineffable into the Heat Haze. Doesn't get a ton for it, but definitely manages that follow-up there. Pulled into the fear. There's the Ancient Rage. Now that the Thread Serpent is down, Corio knows he can safely use this one.
Gotta get Jopi here. Misses the shot, but Closar cleans it up. Hey, this is looking like all business at this point. They have an overpower, and this is something that could change the tide. Sour Team is a smart team, and they still do have the fast cap here being down by 2 points, but 42% and the zone starting for all business.
Overpower is available for Khan. Probably their strongest ultimate. Nothing else is even really above in the conversation. If Scout comes up and available, who cares at that point? It's not going to have much of an impact. Overpower versus King Bomb and Dome Shield.
Yeah, I mean, what's up? Where are you going to go? You can't touch the point. I mean, this is beautiful. The Battle Shout going to save him a little bit as far as the damage. I don't think he's going to have a chance to get the overpower off. Oh, no. Zarini goes down. Sheepa looks to fall to Closar. One more bomb will do it. The double turns to the triple. And all business take game one off of Sour Team.
Well, it's not sweep week in the way that we thought, and all business still have a long way to go to complete this sweep over heavily favored Sour Team going into this matchup. But this is a roster that has changed and evolved over the course of this phase and are looking good. Those investments starting to pay off.
Really exciting stuff here. We have a set, ladies and gentlemen. If anything, Sour Team are now going to have to win with a little bit more pressure on their back, knowing all business are only 2 games away now from sending them into the loss column once more this year. Let's send it back to the desk, break it down.
No sweep today, at least not for Sour Team. It could be for all business if they win 2 more in this set.
Yeah.
But I think surprised is sort of an understatement here. I mean, it's fun to look at the minor league in the sense that although the top 2 teams are scoreboard-wise, if you look at the standings at 7-1, 6-2, and then the lower teams are 2-6, 1-7. They still compete week after week. A lot of these teams are so close. And all business. 4-1. I mean, maybe a 4-3 you could believe, but a 4-1 here, Gore.
Yeah, I mean, being able to come down, this, I think, gets broken into just a couple of chunks. One is the fact that Ninu, while this is one of his maybe good picks, is not going to be, as I think, comfortable enough in a triple DPS scenario, especially with the way Ineffable was playing, to lock down and carry the entire team, right? You need a little bit more. And I think the other issue is, I mean, you're Makoa Barrick, 2 of the best front lines, period, in the game right now, up against a Khan solo front line, which just, I think Nick said it best. It's not really what you want when you come into a point fight. It's not going to be the most stalwart person to stand on the point. He can live for a good chunk of time, but it's no Inara, it's no Barrick. So that, I think, kind of put them at a deficit. And then when you have Ineffable playing the way he did against this kind of composition, it was almost kind of written in stone from picks and bans.
And that's what we were saying pregame, is Ineffable's kind of that pillar of this team. Closar had a great game on the Bomb King as well, but it seemed to be one or the 2 of them really putting on the pressure onto the Sour Team side. The difference, I think I would agree that when you have triple damage, and then not that Khan is a bad frontliner, but he's sort of that hybrid frontliner. He's not that stalwart tank that can absorb all of the damage coming in from the enemy teams, especially not when all business, well, they looked really good. They were playing cohesively there in map number 1. Jaguar Falls is where we'll head for map number 2. How did you feel? I mean, obviously it didn't work out for them. How did you feel with the willingness to throw out triple damage in game number 1 for Sour Team?
I like trying it for multiple reasons. One is you're expected to win overall, right? Like, you're expected for this to be a 3-0. So taking a loss for Sour Team is not as big a deal. But when you're also in this position where it's just like, I mean, like, you think even Nick said this at one point. Yeah. You're locked in. Like, you're not worried. Like, even if you lose this in a 3-0, it's not going to drastically change the standings.
No, that's true.
It's giving you that ability to maybe play around a little bit. And I like the call to, let's let Makoa through. Like, let's see if we can beat him. Like, is it Makoa that made us lose? Not really. Makoa was a part of it, but it wasn't just him. I think it was the entire composition that all business was able to get. And so coming into things like that, willingness to play around with that, treat it like a scrim. Treat it like practice. This is the best practice you're probably going to be able to get, except for playing Penta when it comes down to it, except for scrims against maybe some PBL teams. Is just live environment, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? I mean, it's sort of, you can practice and practice and practice all you want, but when you're actually in game competing, that's when it matters. It's definitely a different environment from scrims to Tuhatchul live in-game here. Looking like they're going to return to a little bit of normalcy here for their draft or Sour team. They get the con again, but add Inara as a second tank, so at least not a triple DPS in this case. I guess in theory could still be a triple tank.
I mean, it could still technically be a triple DPS if they just didn't want to go for a support, but
I guess you're right.
Yesterday we got a glimpse of how that works. Doesn't work out well.
Yeah, it does not work out well. Furia, though, coming through again, and we talked about how Furia's kind of been internalized by just a couple different teams, but now seeing her again in our second set of the day, obviously some teams are starting to get privy to what Furia can bring as a healer to your composition. And she's seen some success, seen some less success in some of her games. But Sour team have a pretty good 5.
Well, it comes right back down to where I think, and this is a conversation I'm going to have tomorrow on Esports Weekly, but it's just like where Genos and Maldamba are like number 1 and number 2, and to the point where Genos is slightly ahead of Maldamba, but either way, you're going to be happy with who you get.
He's getting banned a lot, though.
And once you ban one of them away, the ecosystem starts to shift.
Right.
I want to know if people, like, maybe they start looking at banning Maldamba just to make other people uncomfortable, but you have to figure out a good way to deal with, like, a Makoa and a Torvald to do that,
so lots
to trade
of things.
that ban
I mean, the way the meta is at the moment, just 1 or 2 extra bans can open up or close off so many more different things. It's fun to see. Wouldn't you believe it? Sour team, well, they're fighting from behind here in game number 2. All business with a great-looking game number 1. We're going to send it down to Evan and Nick to get it started.
Thanks, Dave. Time to head to Jaguar Falls, the old Tyra appearance, as she oft likes to do when things get a little, big gamey as the Jaguars roam. What do you think about all business starting off with a hot dub?
I think it's pretty nuts, to be honest. I don't think I would have expected to see it coming past the halfway point in this phase. They hadn't even come close, hadn't put a dent in either of these top 2 teams, but continuing to improve. Some teams, you know, take their L's, learn from them, and want to continue to improve. And I think as this roster evolves and starts to pick up some more veteran players as well, that's all business that I'm speaking on right now. They're going to be more comfortable pulling Knessa on Jaguar Falls, and it doesn't matter. That weight is off their shoulders. They're just looking to learn and improve here in these last couple of weeks.
I mean, that's a nice little temporal divide right there. Definitely saves Perdo from maybe going back to base earlier than he would have hoped. You can tell that if you hold the angles, you're going to be in a great spot with Knessa here, really serving as more of a lethal Leon with instant mobility that is comparable, but not as frequent. Let's put it that way. However, Perdo not even looking, not a chance to get the Hunter's Mark, going to get no damage off of these Oppressor Mines. But look at that. Now finally marked up.
It's a fully charged shot as well. No real flank pressure to get up in this Knessa's face. That's part of the reason why they think they can pull it off, but she's marked out at the moment. So vision, very important in a game of this caliber. 96% to 15 on the objective.
Oh, already Knessa has so much damage. She gets Zarini down. What a play. Ineffable has been pretty phenomenal today. His carry potential on the Shaolin, and now the Knessa of all things on Jag Falls, really, really helping to set all business apart here. He has not gone down yet, but got real close there. And it's getting back in the fight. Interesting.
Ooh, misses a crucial shot there on a Imperio. Temporal Divide goes out, but stunned in front of it. Khan is still under pressure. 99% for all business. They start the overtime.
I mean, I'd just chill out if I was him for a second. You got plenty of time. But now the In-Flame comes through. And Perdo with the crossfire. That's a deadly, deadly combo. He's moving faster than you could probably aim to, and he actually takes the fight to Knessa and slays her.
It's just that simple, man. It's Knessa. That's 4 shots in a row missed by Ineffable. That's all the character does, man. She scopes in and she hits you in the face, or she doesn't. Do damage or don't. That's what allows Sour Team back into this. In-Flame, crossfire, Tyro comes ripping around the corner, and when it mattered most, the shots missed.
I think there was a ton of panic. I mean, personally, what I was witnessing is Ineffable should have just chilled for a second. He had 500 health in that fight for about, 45 seconds straight. I think it'd be so much more lethal if he goes in there with a full kit and just waits a second. And obviously harder to manage when you're under pressure, but they had time.
And I'm going to ignore this dragon for a second because I like what you said about panic and about pressure. This is what we've been preaching all season long. Who gets their ultimate up first when they're free fire? Kinessa does.
Yeah.
Who misses every single shot when she's got someone in her face? Kinessa.
Right.
These are human beings behind this keyboard and the mouse. They're going to start to increase their margin for error if somebody is putting pressure on them. That's why getting in the faces of your opponents has been such a crucial part of I think, NIP's success and everyone else's success who's been successful this season.
And you know what? I'm gonna go a step further, and I'm gonna say that if a hunter's mark is on you, it physically and it affects you in some slight way. That heartbeat, that noise, the vision thing, every time I get a hunter's mark on me, I feel some type of way. I don't just feel exactly as I did before. And it can throw you off just a little bit, knowing whether you're taking extra damage. Damage is coming your way. People know where you are.
Do you feel 25% squishy?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But, I think Ineffable, like, doing something a little bit more cavalier, and I don't mind that. But I just think you have to. There's very little room for error.
That's part of what got them the dub in game 1 here, and part of this is these matches are, like I said, these teams are very far apart in the standings, so not under a lot of pressure. Wow, I actually don't believe it. He got that one, pulls him under the shower with him, and Chifa says, let's have this flash dance.
And that's really good play, man. I mean, that's fantastic play right there.
I thought he missed. I'm surprised he got that overpower off. It looked like he got around the corner,
I
you know what I mean?
I know. I mean, and that's a little risky, too. Sheepa going in with 26 seconds left, can't charge it up, especially if he only had 30% now. And they go for it. And that was the one champion I would be like, do you really want to go for it? Because she could teleport back. But they say, absolutely. We're just going to go ahead and push it 2-0. So take the words right out of my mouth, partner.
It being worth it for him. This is the Crossfire M-Flame. You can see 1 shot missing, 2 shots missing, 3 shots missing. Gets up in the face. The 4th shot missed. Wouldn't have mattered anyway at that point. Peridot was too close. That's Tyra's wheelhouse. Yeah. She gets a lot of back of the heads to shoot at as well. That is the reward that she reaps.
Yeah, I mean, whoever can snowball the rest of that fight probably, wins. But, it's like the major arc of a movie. The bad guy, the good guy do a lot of different things on their side quests, but eventually they run into each other, and somebody's got to come out on top. And a little bit more, I guess, morally ambiguous here between who's bad and good between these two teams, but definitely something that just relates to the DPS carries sometimes have to just go up against each other and see who comes out.
Well, comeback mechanic enabled for all business now as they are down 2-0. Temporal Divide comes out. Team's coming on in. Zarini catch it. Maybe it ran into Peridot or something, interrupted it. That's critical. Those are long cooldowns that need to make it onto the point.
Oh, and Nino's in trouble. Oh, cool. No. Yeah, absolutely nothing. That was a great rotation. That was a great rotation here. William Birkin doing his best to hold down the points. Our team have lost their Amani. And now Coriol in the backline on the Atlas. Oh, they've lost their Inara, too. This is not looking good. But here's the thing. No one really pressuring Peridot. And maybe it's Peridot, but there's the Exile. It just comes too late. Now he's safe. And William Birkin's going to have to give up this point. I don't think a Dome Shield here makes sense.
Awesome outplay there from Joffy. Didn't quite catch it on camera, but iframes during Inflame. That's what allowed him to shrug off that King Bomb and actually get the return kill. You can see Kloshar saw Khan. He's like, I'm not going into that battle shout. Too many iframes there. That's what it comes down to. Fury has been out of the meta. She also has iframes in her kit. It's an easy thing to forget, but it pays off there.
And the Dragon here. They got to burst this thing down as soon as possible. Nino just keeping the threat. He's got 15 seconds to use it, and he doesn't have to expose himself, so they can't get rid of it. And they know that if they go there, it will destroy them. It's a great play. It's good patience, good understanding of the game, and where his tactical strength lies in that. And it's going to be a 3-0 so far for Sour Team, although it feels a little bit more competitive than that.
So a big conversation has been Solar Blessing interacting with the Dragon. Which way should it be? Which way is it intended? Right now, it is interacting with the Dragon, and people don't like that. But my question is, should you just play around it? Is there a problem with the Dragon getting 6,000 HPS? Is that something you don't necessarily want or would be viable? I don't know.
Is there a way that, in many ways, it's a certainly on the point 99, that's pretty OP. But in that moment, the Dragon then has to stay still and can't zone you. So you're giving up your mobility and your pressure offensively for sustain in a certain location. And still, remember, it's 600 health a second that you're going to, 600 damage a second you have to get past with any level of Bulldozer and Shaolin's, Kinessa's, Leon. You're going to far outdo that.
You can probably still definitely blast through that with a Bulldozer. And it's not up to me. The design intent is left up to the designers what they want to do with that. So it could be a mechanic that changes in the future.
What is the itemization here too? Because I don't remember seeing how much Bulldozer was on lineup.
Just
really
one right
just
now.
one from Ineffable. Wow. I mean, that's who you want to put it on. He's going to scale the best, but it may not be enough.
Game could be over before it starts to matter here. A lot of guys, you have to make that split decision. Somebody needs to pick up Colorado. You probably need a little bit of record, safe to say. 3-0 here is the lead. These boys starting to fall here on the defense. Looks like they may hold for now. 46 is plenty of time to go back, spend some money. They've got ultimates.
Yeah.
Sour Team have already shown us in round number 1 that they know what a convertible situation looks like, especially with this overpower. You can just get in there and make a convertible situation for yourself. Feel confident.
Jeepa looks like he's trying to do the exact same thing as he did before, and I like the way Ineffable's playing this, but look at this. Seismic Crash towards him. Jeepa trying to get the angle. Has he got it? No, not quite yet. There's the Dragon, though. Let's see how they play around this one. This is where that Solar Blessing, yes, could be very, very deadly. He's not going to try to go back into it. He's just going to try to zone. Here's the offense we're talking about, the Dragon. Calling in for the victory. It's all squared away between Sour Team and All Business after Jaguar falls.
Pretty dominant stuff. I think both their teams having a good foot to put forward on their map choice. Now we're going to loser's pick, though. We're all tied up 1 apiece. Goes back to All Business, and we'll see how they can stand up. They had a Mako. I think they performed really, really nicely on that sort of wonky draft that they pick. But I like that off the back of that loss, that Sour Team doesn't freak out and shrivel up and go back to like normalcy.
Yeah, absolutely. Still trying new things, and credit All Business still bringing out stuff like Kinessa on Jaguar Falls. See how it pans out, though, as we send it back to the desk to break down Game 2.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great job there for game number 2, and I think that's the Sour Team we probably expected to see coming into today, Gore. So while in our last set, the Blazing Hussars, they get 2 points on the first map and then a clean sweep from Penta. And this one, All Business capture an entire map, but now Sour Team are back to a little bit more of what we would have expected today.
And this is where it becomes important to showcase what maps you've picked. Like, if Serpent Beach is really good for All Business and they get a good draft on it, they 4-1.
Yeah.
Can you do that on 2 more maps when you have the choice to go to it? And can you make the kind of weird things like Ineffable playing Kinessa where he goes Morale Boost 1 at the very beginning of the game? Can you make those things work? The answer here, I mean, damage-wise, yes, it worked incredibly, but it just was not enough, I think, to be able to impact the game the way they thought. That is...
God, those slash lines.
So
6s for everyone.
Weird to think of. And a Kinessa on Jaguar Falls kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to look into. Jopie on the Furia showing us why she's a high priority, or becoming a higher priority healer in this current meta. A little bit of damage as well, and that's something I think we've talked about in past games, is not only does she supply the incredible burst healing with her beam, but just a little bit of extra damage as well with her gun, and then, of course, her ultimate boosts up her teammates as well. I kind of want to jump back to that Kinessa pick, because I know it sort of raised some eyebrows. I mean, specifically on Jaguar Falls, why might you pick Kinessa, and do you agree with maybe why you would? I mean, because it's not traditionally a Kinessa map.
That, and obviously the damage worked, right? That's the one thing that I think is a big note for it, is the damage numbers were there. The slash line wasn't the best, but it was better than some of the other team, right? It was everybody else on the team. So you come in, you still have an okay performance on it, on a map that doesn't really warrant Kinessa. Like, the only real long lines of sight you have are maybe window to, like, the wall where the payload comes through, and maybe window to right under the archway where the payload comes through, and then statue side. Like, there's not a lot of places where it's long area, long line of sight friendly for a Kinessa, which is why Cassie or Leon or people like that are way more friendly here, because it's like, cool, I can fight in these long ranges, but also I can fight in this little room where you're going to be right next to me. Like, I can play both. So it's not a map that really favors her, so it's interesting to see it pulled out. The only team I've ever seen do it, and the only player I've ever seen do it and be successful, his name was originally Valentine, I believe became Ninum on Koga, or Kanga there as he came through, as he kind of went through his team phases. And he was the only person I'd ever seen run snipers on Jaguar Falls with a success rate.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, we can only harp on it so much. It wasn't bad. It just was an interesting pick, which is why I kind of wanted to dive into it. But Jenna's pip for Sour Team here, we saw how big of an impact Simsaloo could have on the pip in the last set that we had here this morning. And I really like the fact that more teams are starting to pick up on the pip. And the PPL, it's sort of been a few teams sprinkled in here and there that are willing to bring it out. But if you get a good enough player, you get a good enough situation around the pip, they've shown that can be a game-changing pick.
And I think that's the key wording, right? When you get a good enough player, I think there's just enough right now that play pip at such a high level that not everyone can pick it up and play it at that level.
No,
that's the one thing that's like, it's like Simzalu's pip is going to be better than I would say even 80% of the Premier League. Like, he can play pip, but then you get Bittner. Bittner comes in and plays pip at the same level, if not maybe a little better, and all of a sudden you start to see DCL's tip. So when you have someone who plays it really well, he's probably one of the best picks you can have.
Right. I mean, I say that I want to see more teams pick it up, but it really does come down to
good players
pulling them out. That's a better way of wording it, I think, in this case. Our team win the last game. All Business win the first game. They get Pip, Cassie, Genos. That's a pretty star-studded damage and a little damage amp combo there. And the Ruckus as well for them. Which lineup are you favoring here?
That's a tough call, but I'm
down the middle.
Sour Team, I think, is more consistent. I think All Business has a roster that can absolutely demolish Sour Team here.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little more execution heavy, whereas Sour Team are just kind of shoot straight, don't miss your shots, and you're fine.
I mean, if we're looking at it from a execution standpoint, a betting man would say that Sour Team's going to come out on top of this one. All Business need to return to their form from game number 1, though. Sour Team with a clean 4-0 win. They're on the front foot now. It's time to head down to game number 3, see how it plays out.
Very interesting. Looking at these drafts, trying to kind of go into the future and see what is going to transpire. I mean, Atlas and Amani. You've got Ruckus, and you've got Pip. I mean, that's a very big kind of X factor there for this team.
Pip is definitely the thing that I struggle to bet against for Sour Team, but Atlas, Amani, very, very strong picks in their own right. Eevee as well, but everything rests on the execution with that character. Stone Keep. Again, Pip is tough for me to bet against on this map. I really like the way that Sour Team are able to play it. I have a lot of faith in Ninu, which I'm assuming is going to be piloting this guy. One of my favorite players in minor league to watch.
You know, he's so hot right now.
Definitely is.
Definitely is.
I'm not betting against him.
I think that Clostar is a great Eevee, and it's really going to be target prioritization, but it is so hard to do Eevee the way you want to if people can get resets, because she really relies on being the champion that can out-reset you. And with that limited health pool, that is one of her innate advantages, her mobility and her kind of health regen, to be able to kind of poke in, poke out, and kind of get you low, and now, oh, I'm one shot away. Here comes Eevee, and I'm screwed. But that's not what can happen when Nidu is running a very well-oiled Pip. And so I'm worried about that one for sure. But Sheepa already.
Come on back
Forrest,
now.
get back here, baby!
There it is. Formidable healing going to start to come through. Is it enough to keep Sheepa alive? Not quite.
What an incredible showcase of setback and second chance, and the power of both. Nick, you said they had to make the right decisions. Well, how about a triple root there into a setback and into a headshot triple kill for Coriel. That was phenomenal Atlas play.
Awesome stuff there. Really showcasing everything except the ultimate there. And a really, really cool design thing is when you hit somebody with the setback, it is designed so that if you start charging a shot immediately, frame perfect, that shot will be fully charged, ready to go as soon as the person becomes targetable again after setback. So really, really nice leveraging there by Coriel.
And interesting, it'd be interesting to see how is his card balance kind of shifted, and a nice wall to keep himself alive, although you can see it's a little higher, so he is available to be shot at by the foot. But at this point, they've got bigger problems here as well. Is he running anybody back into the past? 0.36, so no one escapes number 1. So that's going to be interesting here, looking at how that is. Beyond the Veil also not at level 5, prioritizing some healing under that threshold. And All Business, despite starting out great, Nick, kind of lose their foothold here.
At 99% as well, that's what's tough. But Ultimate's starting to be available. Xenos with the first one here, Dread Serpent. 97% on the Dragon as well. That could be a big, big factor. But Evil Mojo comes up. Time and Space is about to be ready. It's all about who gets value for these ultimates.
Oh, great Dread Serpent, and using the emitter basically when he was trying to have that defensive opportunity. He still survives, but here comes the Dragon. And there goes the Eevee. Jopi with a couple of kills. Arini getting the assist for that, and now Coriel falls. This is a collapse from All Business. as they really had the advantage here.
Yeah, definitely did. There's just a little bit of a split pressure. The Dragon as well as the Eevee ice storming down on the objective. Meanwhile, 3 members fighting high in the keep. The Atlas, Maldamba was up there as well, and I think Barrack as well, or Eevee maybe blinked down, but moral of the story there is just a little bit too split up with their pressure. Sour Team getting value for their ultimates, much more so than All Business were able to.
Yeah, that's unfortunate if you're All Business. I mean, to win the fight so hard, to perform so well, and then still lose the objective.
Yeah.
Those are the things that really, in a game of Paladins, frustrates you because you think, what else do I have? What else should we have done there? I mean, we won that fight so cleanly, and now, you know, even if we do that, we know that we could still lose the point. That's not a good thought to have going into the rest of the set.
I want to take a quick peek at the items because it feels like Zarini got out of that fear very, very quickly. Already grabbed Resilience. Shiva does as well. My goodness gracious. A lot of crowd control to be mitigated for sure. Things like Frostbomb route, exiles, setbacks, all that type of stuff. And obviously the big fear from Maldamba is what made me ask the question. Zarini pops out of that fear quickly. Really not a lot of follow-up damage comes out onto him. And that was the crux of what that all-business team fight was supposed to be. That was their first ultimate that was fully charged, and that's usually the game winner in round 1.
Man, oh man. And now Glowstar's in trouble. Explosive Flash should be ready. And there it is. There's the slow, but you can't blink back because they're waiting for you. And Sheepa cleans up the susceptible Eevee. Shots from Ineffable, doing good damage, but looks like there's some healing on the board. And that is a long-range heal, I believe, from Ninu, who has the line of sight for it. He's going to drop down to the low end. Still trying to find that kill, but Frost slowing, just not cleaning up any official death.
40 seconds on the clock here. Plenty of ultimates available. The bomb, beautiful angle there, but it's too far to actually find much follow-up there. A couple of splitting ices. But it's good to know that Ineffable knows his angle. He's done his geometry.
He has indeed. I failed geometry. I guess I passed, but 7th grade geometry was probably my most, I struggle with that more than anything else in school my entire life. Still a memory. Geometry, for whatever reason, not my piece of cake here. Hopefully Ineffable has managed through that a little easier than I did. He certainly hasn't really managed to use that geometry to get the thing he's trying to get, though, which is a defense.
That's a great metaphor, you know? You might know it all, but where's the real-life application?
Exactly. I mean,
not on Stone Keep.
Not on Stone Keep.
I'll tell you that much.
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Not a lot of times in my life where I've really regretted not knowing how to do geometry really well. You know, and I will say, it is one of the teachers I disliked the most as well. And I don't know.
Not a recipe for success.
Not a recipe for success, yeah.
Well, that was a great time and space there. Counters out the Dragon, and most of Monty's run the 250 HP, so that doesn't happen to them. Let's just double check that. Did he have poke on him, or does this Amani just not have enough HP to survive through time and space? It's one of the best ways to get value for time and space. Things like that are very important when you consider how you build your Amani loadout.
William Birkin here, starting off, focusing on Sheepa. He knows he's got Formidable. That will get him back to a decent spot now. Now healers are going to have to start getting a little bit more focus. He goes ahead of where Ninu blinks into the back. Kind of anticipating, I think, that the Evil Mojo was coming, and he avoids it, and now Ninu takes the spill. But here's what's scary. They did this last time. They still lost. They've got to capitalize on this success. Somersault reset comes into play. Can they finish off Purdue?
I ain't time for his
Somehow
next dodge roll cooldown. Fast cap is enabled here. The blinks are good. Closar will lock it down. Frostbomb as well. Doesn't lose his life. That's the key point. Not running it. Running
no speed.
I run 200 HP and not. That's the important break point, is to get over 2400 with Amani, especially against Genos.
You know what? I'm telling you, some people just have loadouts that they've just not really crafted that way. They just have the loadout they like, and it's not Genos specific. I mean, a very, very interesting choice. It doesn't make sense unless you're just saying, well, I wasn't really thinking about that.
Well, I'll give him this. It's better than Pacheco not having any loadout.
That's right. That's right.
First time he picked it in the PPL.
Still beats fishy on that one. Now, All Business have a little bit of wiggle room here, and they're going to get a couple kills from Closar. Let's take a look at that Imani loadout, by the way, just to reference kind of what we were talking about here. We could see the Dragon Caller's
Abracadabra Imani loadout.
Boom.
Easy for me.
And, yeah, still running some speed, Pyretic movement. Really the 5 permafrost here. You're right, Nick. Just that 200 health.
I think you can lose 0.2 seconds on your route.
I think so.
And survive that laser beam.
Yeah.
Especially with a Cassie on the side of the Genos. Pop that scout. There she is, champ. Take her out. Tee it up.
Well,
drive it home.
there's a big conversation around stuff like that, and of course around, you know, the 40% lifesteal. All these things are great cards early, but they don't scale well, especially if people buy Resilience, and Sour Team have heavily invested into that.
Already did.
You know, from the start of the game. So when you look at, well, I mean, this card's great now. It'll be very bad later. Should I invest 5 points into a very situational application, or should I spread it out into something that's going to be a little bit more consistently valuable? And through time and space, into the second chance. I love it.
Ineffable dies again to it.
See, this
What
is
could have been?
Yeah, this is, yeah, you're right.
They probably would have died either way. That was a great Frost Bomb into the Ice Storm from Eevee. The ultimate lockdown, and Ice Storm is a permanent, refreshing, perpetual slow cripple type of thing until the ultimate is expired. So that one doesn't get mitigated by Resilience. And that's a great way to follow up on the Frost Bombs that will be, albeit shorter nowadays, since Resilience has started to come through for the gentle lads of Sour Team.
And, you know, I will say this to add to the conversation. It's something I learned many years after starting casting Paladins, was that these loadouts, you feel like they're the personal player's style, but they, a lot of times, are really a team-decided loadout. They're the loadout the team says this is what you should run. And in many ways, you'll see these cards that the player's like, yeah, but, you know, my team says I got to have, you know, the Maxaroo to set up some of this stuff. And I prefer blah, 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 but they're doing what they feel is best, maybe based on the coach, based on the in-game leader. So, you know, maybe they're really calling for that route to set up some of these other things in this matchup.
Absolutely a possibility here. Enu's Pip is something I gave a lot of credit to going into this game. And hopefully will be a way that they can leverage a team fight win here with a 3-1 victory. They'd be able to put themselves up 2-1, all business, trying to fight their way back in the set, doing a damn good job of it. This is much closer of a contest than I ever anticipated it would be coming into today.
Yeah, and they have definitely put up a good fight, put on a good show, and that's what you can hope for here as a viewer. But resilience, and cauterize, all the priorities for Sour Team. Purdue grabbing a couple of points of record. That's plenty for a Cassie. She's going to be barreling through those shields. William Birkin sets up. At this point, William is a very big problem. Kind of forced to maybe get a reset and maybe go into a dome shield earlier than he would have liked, but they kind of cede this territory. I wonder why. Trying to bait out maybe Corrigal into a bad spot.
No time and space to counter it either. Scout has popped though, so at least they knew where roughly Amani was. Sheepa, Perdo, both taken down in the hands of the Dragon. Exile will slow Zarini down. Fast cap still enabled for all business, so it's critical that Sour Team get in here fast and get some value for those ults.
Zarini knows that Ghosts start trying to poke out, but now all the ults have been used. They have slow played this, so hopefully they have a plan. They see the second chance, and there's another opportunity to try and shift things their way. William Birkin into the dome shield, but the Immortal into the Hexafire is surely going to take him down. Zarini may still fall, but during the chaos, Purdue and Ninu clean it up.
It's just too good there, man. That's the type of miracle play that's going to bring that one back. I really like the Immortal Hexafire. That got a ton of value. And I was going to criticize the fact that Zarini did jump down into the fighting pits to do that. I was like, he could do that from up top, but then the Immortal, I was like, all right, that's a pretty solid play. It's 4 seconds of immunity.
Yeah.
And shout outs to the triple kill. I mean, there's nothing else to say. That's really what won the fight.
And I like how they kind of baited out that Dragon as well. They knew, okay, no, the big threats are on the table anymore. Now let's send it back to the desk as our team look like they're 1 game away from finishing this setup.
Thank you, guys. And it's not quite a 4-0 here for Sour Team, but they find themselves another convincing win. And now this is starting to get scary if you're on the side of all business. Now you have to win 2 straight in order to take the match here today, where it's hard enough to do it once. It's going to be really hard to do it twice when Sour Team are playing the way they are. Especially
once they hit this stride, right? I mean, not many teams are going to be able to make a call where, hey, jump down here, Hexafire, I got an Immortal for you. Like, you will be safe throughout all of this. Like, those are moments where it's just, this is not going to work. For most teams, the communication might come through, but maybe there's slightly off on one of the 2 ults, right, being able to come through. Of course, Ninu was just incredibly impactful the entire game, though, at 11-3.
I mean, And that's, we sort of mentioned how Pip can change the game. And looking at the rest of the Slash lines, I mean, 6 and 5, 6 and 5, 6 and 7. I mean, none of the rest of Sour Team, I mean, they all played well that game, but none of the rest of Sour Team really had like a standout KDA performance on this match. Yeah. Ninu with a 5.2 is by far the most positive member on his team in this one. The Pip, as we've talked about, making a big difference in this one. Some good evil mojo, some good damage. And generally just being a thorn in the side of the all business guys in this one. Beautiful triple kill there, sealing the deal. Game over. Sour Team now just one win away from taking our second set of the day. And Gore, we're going to Fish Market.
Where teams go to lose. Admittedly, this is probably just, I mean, this is the one map that I think that's always rung true. And depending on whether or not all business win this one, will continue to ring true.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a map I've seen many teams practice.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen many teams win on when they do. Like, if they don't practice it, this is like a, okay, well, we chose it because this map is kind of the wildlands of Paladins, right? Like, almost any kind of composition you want to make work can work here. Because of the layout, because of the way that you can approach a fight.
Sure.
So, I mean, we've heard some teams talk about quad DPS, quad support, like things like that can only truly work on Fish Market because of it.
And it's fun to sort of see how some of those lineups maybe will come through into this one. Torvald, maybe the start of an interesting lineup for all business. Of course, Maeve, Leon, Amani, 3 DPSs getting banned out as well as the Khan. That opens the door to a lot of different things to come through. Sour Team are going to receive Makoa as a beneficiary of the bans that are here today, as well as the Eevee. Sour Team have the makings of a pretty good lineup so far.
Yeah, I would argue that all business are going to have pretty much anything they need in terms of, like,
that's true.
No matter who you put with Torvald, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good, right.
Makoa Eevee is going to be good whether or not you have a damage amp, right? It's going to be good no matter who exactly is trying to pick it up. You get the double damage amp, though, on the side of all business since Genos is still available. And I'm just going to throw it out there. They don't have a flank yet to go with it, but you just put a bubble and a luminary boost on Cassie, and with a big game, and Makoa dies in 2 shots.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as countered out as you can get if you're a Makoa. Cassie enough is bad enough. Or Cassie alone, excuse me, is bad enough. Cassie with a Torvald is worse. Cassie with a Torvald Astral Mark is
doubling down.
damn near unsustainable. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it, though. The Atlas, maybe a little play in there with the Cassie, the Exiles, the setbacks could come into play here. Barrack Bomb King rounding out the all-business lineup. Sour Team now looking for their final damage dealer here. They left the last card sort of in their pocket, per se, going into this final match. Of course, Maeve banned out. We've seen her on Fish Market just a little bit. The Midnight throwing people through a loop here and there. And they're going to go with the Vivian Gore. What are some of your thoughts here?
This is probably the best composition all business could have in this scenario to be able to even the playing field or bring it all over to their side. Double damage amp, a Cassie, a Bomb King, and a Barrack. Like, this is on any, I would say almost any map, something that is going to be a successful draft. But the thing is that Vivian pops bubbles really quickly, Eevee is really good, Makoa is really good, Atlas is really good.
And Sour Team are really good.
Sour Team are really good. So while I think draft goes in favor of all business, Sour Team, it remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen, but it is game 4. Sour Team 1 win away from taking our second set of the day. Let's head down to Fish Market. Let's head down to your casters.
Well, it is an interesting ban phase that sees a lot of the champions that maybe run Fish Market a little bit more successfully with their mobility. Take it away, Maeve, Leon, and on board Makoa now. Again, twice in this set. Kevin Ashipa here.
Love it, man. This is pretty much what I wanted from like this part of the phase of the minor league when there's really not a lot of standing shiftings going on anymore. You don't expect too much of these colossal upsets. The only way you really get those types of upsets is when wackier stuff gets let through. We're learning a lot about both these teams here today, and I think they're putting on a great show.
They seem to be intent on...
I just got a flashback of when Team Viral didn't leave spawn yesterday
in
the console league.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Well, we won't talk about that. They were dropped from their organization after that, so maybe a word to the wise. May not want to do that after getting an org and representing other people other than yourself. However, Ninu represented himself for a long time as a very, very good Eevee, and he proves that with win number 1. And now he's got the Rampage going.
He certainly does. This is a man that's been doing it for a long, long time, especially with this character who has always been good. He definitely knows his way around it. So the hook there, Torball bubble. It's a tough duel to win. Sheepa doesn't like it, backs off, gets some help. Will he survive?
Oh, he likes it, Nick. He likes it. Baits him out so much damage. Might be top of the damage at this point in the game because he did not really miss. But never mind, never mind. My goodness gracious.
That's
Closar was doing some work.
Can we see the loadout here? I think he was running healing amp below half. At least a little bit, maybe? Oh, just a little bit there. I was going to say, there was this like massive chunking number, 154 per tick from the Damba heal, which was a ton once he fell below half. And this is a card that...
Surf 4, though. That's kind of unusual.
Yeah, it's a little fish marketing. I think that's really what it is. He's got loadouts built for all types of situations here, and being able to dash those longer distances on fish is important.
Oh, beautiful set back there as well. Coriel in trouble. Torvald, great champion, suffers a lot if taken down on fish market or out of position because he simply has to walk everywhere. And, you know, old grandpa, can't expect him to be sprinting, soaring, flying, blinking all these places. He did that in his youth. And unfortunately, that just does not come in handy on the fish.
I feel bad for people that have to just like walk into Vivian with not the explicit goal of killing Vivian. Like having to go touch a payload or a point or something.
Right.
It reminds me of those like really nasty like, what do you call it? It's like a paper shredder, but for like refrigerators. And you know when they dump them in that thing, it's like those nasty looking like cogs that just crush everything inside.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Vivian reminds me of when she's not being looked at.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And good stuff here, I think, from at least All Business to like kind of keep this pressure. There's a lot of just Poppy Bomb pressure from Closar. But we can see why he's doing so much damage, getting those Torvald bubbles. The priority is on him. And here's the Vivian, and even he melts in an instant when faced off.
It's Luminary and Field Study King. It's 45% damage increase if the stars align, which is a whole lot of ouchie. That's why he's able to pull ahead. Very easy to damage, easy to leverage damage amp, I should say, here from Torvald. And from Genos, two of the easier mechanics. Neither of them are like that hard. I'd say Hunting Party is probably the most hard to make sure you get on the right person at the right time, things like that.
Yeah.
102 left on the clock here. Tough choke to break, but really, once the hill is crusted, things are looking good for Sour Team.
And this is what makes Ninu a great player and what separates good EVs. You know, you see some of these Ice Storms who say, oh, that was a good time to do it. Maybe they blink back, but he just capitalizes on the moment. He finds two. He says, this is going to put us in a big advantage. This is the hill we need to crest, and they finally do so. Should be a push. There's virtually no way to stop this on Fish Market. That's what makes this map so devastating. Nice little Poppy Bomb hook interaction, and it's 2-0.
I like it, though. Closar, he's swinging for the fences here. He's not playing scared. He's going right at these guys. He realizes, I'm Luminary Field Study Bomb King. If this is not the game that I win, then I will not win a game ever.
Yeah. Plus, it's like, you know, yes, they're great players. They've done a lot of things. They're playing well as a team, but it doesn't mean that you can't win a 1v1. I'm sure there's moments that these guys come against each other in ranked and in the casuals, and they play and they scrim, and he's gotten many of the duels going his favor.
Did Closar ever play for one of those iterations of VP under Elven Path? Because I know Coriel and Ineffable did.
Yeah.
And that's why like this team has really stepped up, is like they have what Sour Team have.
Right.
They have ex-PPL players on their squad as well. That's why they're looking much better now than they did at the start of the phase.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they have the experience, they have the capabilities, and they have what seems to be the draft mentality that at least keeps them in games. But right now, they took a risk on the Torvald that hasn't paid off. Sheepa's still on his mount. This is good patience.
Spotted out by the scout. He knows it.
But he's got a back line. He sees where the Genos is at. And just that shell shield and staying around, I love it. He says, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, so you probably have to back off.
Coriel got one with the Hyper Beam. Look at this, have 93% to nothing already. That might just do it. Takes it on the chin. Sheep is happy to burn his ult for an ult.
And then he gets the real threat. I mean, that's the person who's trying to snowball this fight. However, oh my God, you're kidding me. 40% starting to pay off. All business though, 99. What can Ninu do? Can he get the big time play through time and space? He's going to take the overtime again, and he's got another one. He's got Ice Block too, but he's going to have to walk for this one. Someone has to touch. Wow, why so late, Jopie?
Yeah, out of cooldowns, out of time. They're nicely done. by Ninu. Blink in, blink out, soar in, soar out, blink in, blink out. Out of cooldowns at that point, somebody else had to take the reins. It would have been a tall task for sure. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, man. It's a good kill from Hyper Beam. It's a nice lockdown kill, and 2 pretty critical missed hooks from Sheepa as well. That's the caveat of Makoa. If you don't hit those hooks, the character kinda sucks.
I mean, so interesting. When did that Dread Serpent happen? Because it was just used.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. It was just used. Maybe he tried to throw it off. I don't know.
Maybe he popped it on point at some point. We didn't, really didn't look at the point a whole lot, but there was a Hyper Beam. Immediately got rid of Perdo. Sheepa was really distracted with 2-3 on this market side. Missed a couple of hooks. I think it was the appropriate call to definitely pop the Ancient Rage in response to the King Bomb. Easy kill onto the Bomb King at that point.
Yeah.
He's such a big threat. But again, comes around the corner, misses the hook on the Cassie, and then gets big game applied to him, and then gets like 3 or 4 shots. Yeah,
there was nothing to do on that one. And he did take a lot of damage after getting that kill. I mean, the King Bomb itself was quite a bit of damage. And, you know, at this point, you know, you can't survive everything, especially when you got these bubbles onto these champions. And so the Torvald was not dealt with. Part of the win condition is making sure that he stays alive, and they did that this round, a minute now. And we don't assume that this will get pushed because it's been very, very hard for them to find success. But that point worked out for them.
Wonder how hard Cassie would hit if there was a Luminary Field Study big game on an Ancient Raging Makoa. How hard would she hit?
Ooh.
That would have to be north of 2K. I mean, imagine.
It would seemingly be. Well, you've taken.
Because she already hits like what, 1,400 on Ancient Rage?
She hits for about 1,600 to be honest on an Ancient Rage Makoa. And then you would add 40% to her base attack, which is 650. So you would basically be taking 300, you know, so maybe like 950-ish on that.
Somebody hit us with some quick math.
So like 1,900, plus you'd have the 15% on the basic attack as well, which would, I mean, you would definitely be right about north of, you'd be right about north, yeah.
That's crazy, man. Big number potential there. 5 seconds on the clock. Long way to go in overtime. Doubt they can do it just because it's Fish Market, not because I don't have faith in all business.
Yeah.
This is a tough map to do it all in overtime in.
Yeah, they're just being patient. I mean, the clock is on their side. If you get Xenos here, I mean, that's a big opportunity. Sheepa makes a big play. Wants to stay alive, of course. Not going to be able to do it, but without the healer, it's going to be tough. And just poke is really the most important thing here because they have no way to sustain at this point. But they've got to start doing things now because Xenos is on the way. Big time shot takes away all of Coriol's shields.
For an Ice Storm over the top, perhaps Ineffable finds a pick.
Oh
and
no.
This just may have breathed new life back into this offense in overtime. Ineffable stays alive as well. Creeping, the hill is crested. Ultimates are ready to be popped. They don't feel like tying this one up. There is a point on the line here. The defense would put Sour Team up 3-1.
Cannot stay away from the point though because that setback, if you do somehow, and just overtime in general, if you do somehow not get there, the setback could set it up, but they get Zarini. Are you kidding me? What is going on? What is going on? Sour Team finally defending, but that was closer than they would have liked.
I think it costed the Dread Serpent there. Again, because it's so late into overtime, if somebody steps off just for a half a second or less, it's probably going to cost you the round. And I think that's probably what the call was there. Dread Serpent is a fairly fast-charging ultimate. Here's the replay. Sheepa pops this one, gets that kill on the Bomb King, but then this is the critical hook that misses. You hear the disengage connect as well, but Sheepa has been playing a great round. Great character. It's cool that we talked a lot about it coming into the day, and we've actually gotten to see a decent amount of it.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. It's like they're hearing us. All these things. They're listening.
3, 2.
And you should be too, because we're dropping the knowledge.
Nuggets of knowledge, my
Nuggets
dudes.
of knowledge, my dude. Who needs chicken when you could have knowledge?
That's right.
Yeah.
All's fair here.
Get back!
Master riding
In love and nuggets.
and love and nuggies. Knowledge and nuggies.
Oh, get baited.
I felt like it should have hit. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Coriol just underestimated the power of the raw
Master
horse.
riding.
Yeah, master riding. I mean, it's just a horse, but man, he's already done plenty of work. He's got that extra health. All business goes straight to the point. And Sour Team lose 3 in that process. If Xenos dies, though, and he should. Oh, what a bubble. And Sheepa knows he's got to get him off. There's a chance. Oh! He cancels immediately. Oh, no!
just can't quite find it, and there's
I'm joking.
there's a bit of a sickness, and it's contagious at this point.
To anyone who saw that play.
James Harden, is that you?
Is that you? Chris Paul? Houston, we have a problem. And that one was not what they wanted. Sheepa seems to be taking that left flank, and All Business keep giving it to him. So I'd say Sour Team have the onus to change what they're doing. Their point fight seems to be really lacking in cohesiveness.
Yeah, and the scary thing is that Bomb King tears them apart without Torvald. Torvald was hyper beaming Makoa and did not have line of sight on anyone there. I think the first bubble he casted was probably onto that Genos to bail him out, and albeit did help save the life of the support, but that's the scary thing, is that Cassie and Bomb King are getting it done just with the Luminary buff, not even factoring in the lion's share of the damage amp available to them.
Xenos finds Zarini. You know, the shields, they're just irrelevant, and Vivian operates quite a bit on the shield. Good stuff from Ninu there, but finishing power seems to be totally in the hands of All Business here. Bomb King playing a little bit of the peek and poke game better than Vivian, admittedly, because she does need that constant line of sight to do the damage, whereas he can kind of stay safe, do damage, stay safe, do damage. Xenos been very slippery now for them.
This is a good choke point, despite them not being on offense. The map and its strengths and weaknesses still apply to you no matter what phase of the offense-defense point fight you are in. So Sour Team, I like that they're setting up here just to try and stall All Business out, burning lots of valuable seconds off the clock. And All Business have to treat this as a choke point as well. They can't just push blindly into this. They slow play it. They're really not very successful, so maybe that's why the point fight's going so well for them. They're not giving them chances to land hooks. Use this Vivian to burn them down. They're really just going straight at him.
I mean, closer, you can see why he's not afraid. I mean, look at this damage. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. 1262 I saw him hit onto a Vivian. I mean, that's two-shotting basically any damage champion in the game. So no fear, but also no results after the capture. One of those games where you look at Fish Market and you say, gosh, what's going on?
Yeah, definitely just quick snap victories in these point fights is bad enough on Fish Market. Fast cap's almost not even necessary to talk about just because it doesn't matter with Fish Market. The zone, it can be so brutal here. And whether you have that fast cap or not, one clean team fight is all you need to grab a point fight.
Yeah.
Clean team fights is all Business have been getting this game.
Like, the only thing I think is it's the only reason the fast cap I think matters is that I feel like Sheepa has a plan that's just taking too long to happen. I feel like his left side flank, by the time he gets near, he's got so many resources, but it's like 99 to 0. Yeah, it's like, wait a second, I gotta make things happen now, and he kind of has to pick up his pace a little too late. You know, guy takes the race a little slower than he wants, realizes he's a mile behind the leader, and now he tries to start sprinting, you know, with a block left. It's not really gonna make any difference. They've already won.
Well, if you watched round 2, you watched round 3 there.
Yeah.
Basically the exact same story. 2-3 on the board now. No fast cap, half cap, we'll call it here for All Business. So now the conversation starts. Sour Team, can we do that same plan? Do we have enough time now, or do we need to just scrap it, back to the drawing board, and figure something else out?
And to be fair, I guess to be fair, Sheepa changed what he did. He went left, and then the next fight he went right. But and then he did try to focus on Torvald, where the other side he tried to focus on Choreo. But the thing is that he's rotating as a solo player, and maybe what's happening is they aren't given enough priority to the point. They aren't given enough priority to maybe rolling as a unit, as 2 players. It seems like All Business are always with 2 or 3 people around them, taking advantage of what Sheepa's aggressiveness looks like. So we'll see if they... Oh, my goodness. I mean, and that's the angle. That's the angle that I think QG took down Kanga, yeah. That really is it.
I really wanted to make a Surf 4 surfboard cross-reference there to Beyonce. Surf 4 back
Surf
on the map.
Surf 4.
Good stuff there from Sheepa.
Grinding on that wood.
Grinding on that wood.
Seriously, though.
And it just,
It's
he
really
just
appropriate.
barely had the legs to cancel it out. Because as you're dashing forward, you're canceling out Hyper Beam. But if at any point you ran out of dash distance and the Hyper Beam was still going, that impulse is just going to take you back off the map.
So really, Surf 4 makes a big difference here. Couldn't have been a better Hyper Beam from Coriel. And here's the through time and space. Xenos will actually connect with Zarini, but it's not impactful enough. And now, Sour Team are just going to win. We talked about it. Doesn't matter about fast cap. The zone is enough. Sour Team take an anticlimactic victory, although a very well-managed point fight. A lot of chaos, but good job.
Thumbs up emoji here in the chat, boys.
Well done.
Nice stuff there all around. Little critical moments. The Hyper Beam never gets any value. That was a big part of why they won in round number 2. Small little adjustments. And again, fast cap, it doesn't always matter on Fish Market, but what it does help them do is just get that pressure on without winning the team fight. They're just there capping 80, 90% to 0 in like 15 seconds.
And now it's like your move essentially to Sour Team. And unfortunately for All Business, Sour Team said, okay, let's win the game here. They got the victory. It took a little longer than we would have thought. Sour Team, again, stay at the top of the leaderboards, right under Penta. So let's send it back to the desk, break it down, get ready for our next match.
It's not a clean sweep, but it is a win either way here for Sour Team. So they'll be happy with the outcome of this one, I think. Gore, like Evan said, a little slower than maybe what we would have expected. All Business came out firing on Serpent Beach, but the tried and true Sour Team really shone through for the rest of the day. 3 straight wins, looking really convincing doing it.
And I think it comes down to, especially when you look at Fish Market, first off, a lot of teams, when you go there, there's multiple ways to play it.
Yeah.
And some of the ways are going to just outright beat other ways. And, well, one of the ways is, well, we have Makoa, we have Atlas, we have Moldamba, we have Eevee, we have Vivian. Like, we have a few champions that are just good on their own and a few champions that are just going to counter everything you have. And, like, when you lock that down, it kind of gives you, well, the edge. The edge.
I mean, it's because we were so focused on sort of the double amp from the All Business side, paired with the Cassie from Ineffable.
Yeah. I mean, look at their damage. They did
nutty
great
damage.
Numbers.
But on the opposite side, Sour Team, they just have a very traditionally strong lineup in that they have very traditionally strong champions, and then you can form them into a cohesive team, especially when you're playing as well as Sour Team are. And in this case, it's enough to overcome the double damage amp. Cassie, Sheepa getting his hands on the Makoa, not something that a lot of players are used to in these live games, maybe some in scrims, but making his presence felt. 2.0 KDA, 54,000 damage. And I mean, I don't want to split hairs when we're looking at this stuff, but we're going to look at the standings here in just a moment. But you have to consider the fact that it was a 3-0 for Penta, only a 3-1 here for Sour Team. So Penta remain on top, but even if we're splitting hairs, just edge out even just a little bit more here. Sour Team would have to beat Penta the next time they play. And then there'd have to be some maps that sort of filter one way or the other. Well, not one way or the other. They'd have to all filter in Sour Team's favor moving forward. Of course, they're your top 4 in this region. And I think it's probably what we expected to see how this all sort of shook out.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was impressive, honestly, more than anything, to see All Business take a map.
Yeah.
I think Blazing Stars started their Splitstone Quarry map really well. And so both of these teams off to a great start. Blazing Stars wasn't able to keep it up for a full map. They only got that first round, but it's still something better than what we've had the last few weeks, or the last few times these two teams have matched up. Before, this was very fast 3-0 for Sour Team or very fast 3-0 for Clown Fiesta. So seeing All Business, seeing Blazing Stars take those strides forward, take those steps they need to match these teams and kind of catch up, means that as we're looking again later in the split, later in the year, maybe it's not going to change the standings, but it will at least impact how these teams are playing, how you're playing in the future.
I was going to say it's a good indicator of sort of where the teams are at, who's playing better, who's playing worse, all that sort of stuff. Either way, we have 2 games in the books for the day, but we still have 2 more. We're going to come to those right after this quick break. Stick around.
The Paladins Minor League, brought to you by Skillshot, High Res, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.